Hello again. Okay, in this lesson we're going to talk about layers. What are they? How do you get them? And why you want to use them. We're going to be working in this area over here, so we can make this a little easier for us to see and work with. By hovering over this little icon here, we'll notice that we can switch panel to expanded view by clicking on it. So we'll click on that and make this area a little bigger. When you bring an image through Adobe Camera Raw, it will open up in this fashion. Or if you open an image that was taken in your camera and you open it for the first time in Bridge and you've done nothing with it in the past, it will open up just like this. And when you look over here in this Layers tab, you will see it's just a background image. That represents the pixels. This is the image. Nothing has been done to it in Photoshop at this point in time. Okay, as discussed earlier, I like to add my saturation here in Photoshop. Now, I can add that two ways. I can add that using layers, or I can add that without using layers. Let's just show you real fast how to do it without using layers, and we'll show you some of the pitfalls that happen as a result. If we come up here to Image and click on it, we can drop down to Adjustments, come over down to Hue Saturation. We get a Hue and Saturation dialog box where I can run my saturation up. I usually run up to 15 points. I can check the preview button on and off to see if I like it. Assuming I like it, I can click OK, and now that saturation has applied directly to the pixels. If I save this off as a master file, File, Save As, back in here, and we'll just put master on for master file. Click Save. I now can close this image down, bring it back in. Let's find it real quick. Alright, there's the master one right here. There's the master one. I can double click it, bring it back into Photoshop, and if now I'm looking at it, I decide, oh my gosh, I don't like that saturation adjustment I made, I can't easily undo it. For that matter, I can't remember whether I gave it 12 points, 15 points, 10 points of saturation. I don't remember anything about it, and I did it directly on the pixels, which means if I grab that slider, let's just do this, Edit, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. If I grab the slider and pull it back, I don't know exactly how much to take off, but not only that, because I'm doing this work directly on the pixels, I'm destroying information. When I shoved it off the one way, I destroyed some information, and now pulling it back, I'm destroying just a little bit more information. This is not a good procedure for manipulating images, especially if you think you may fine-tune them later on down the road. So we'll just go ahead and cancel this, and we'll kill this master. Let's go ahead and bring back up the one we started with, the one that has no adjustments to it yet in Photoshop. Instead of doing it in that fashion, the people at Adobe came up with a really ingenious way of making changes to our images that we can then close and save the images with those changes, and later on another day, open the image back up and still adjust, fine-tune those changes, remove the changes, keep track of them so we can see exactly what we've done to our image. And that's called layers. What we can do is we can call up layers, and they're basically instruction sets of what to do with this background image. Now let's just go ahead and do that. So how might I do this saturation one? I'd come over here in this half-filled circle right here. If you hover over it, it'll tell you what it is. It says create a new fill or adjustment layer. Go ahead and click on it, and then we have these options available to us. Go ahead and click on the hue and saturation one, and now we can make adjustments up here. It doesn't come up in a dialog box that gets in our way. It comes up right here, and we can click and drag these sliders around. Alright, so we can run it up to 15 if we want. We can highlight it by clicking and dragging and highlighting the image, Hopefully they'll fix this. I would assume they really want us to click on it and have it highlighted, but it doesn't do that in CS4. So we just highlight it, and then I can type in 15. And now we've added the saturation. It's in a layer. Notice we have this layer right here above the background layer. And if we want to see the effect of the layer, we can toggle on the eyeball. So we can click on the eyeball, it goes away. We can click on the eyeball, it comes back. We click the eyeball away, that's before this particular effect is applied. We toggle it on, now we're seeing the effect. So now if I save this out, File, Save As, and we'll just call this the master. We'll save it over. In Pro Photo, we have layers. Excellent. Click Save. Yes, I want to replace it. So now we're saving it, and if we close this file down, later, in a few days, in a few weeks, in a year, we can open it back up, and this layer will still be here, and we'll be able to adjust that, throw it away, start again. So it's done saving. Let's go ahead and click it off, go back in, find the master file, double click it to bring it up and open here in Photoshop. And there it is. Now we can, do we really like that particular layer? We can toggle it back on and off again. Again, this is nothing more than an instruction set about what you want to happen to the background. It is not permanent. Notice it's showing us what we did right here. We can say, all right, let's really only go with 10 because for some reason I decided 15 was too strong. Now we can see, oh, that's 10, that's better. What's great about this, though, is if we decide there's still something else we don't like about the image, we can come down here and add another layer. Let's say we wanted to adjust, the color balance. Now we have a color balance layer here. We have the ability to adjust that right here. I honestly don't see anything wrong with the color balance, but let's pretend that our shadows were a little too cool and we wanted them to run a little warmer. We could warm them up. Let's just leave that in there. Let's make it where you can see it. Okay, great. There we go. Let's pretend we like that. We could save the image out again. These layers would be saved out. When we open it back up, we could then say, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? I don't like this layer. I don't like it at all. Well, how do we get rid of it? See this little trash can down here? We can click and hold onto our layer and drag it down to the trash can and throw it away. And it's like it never happened. We did not do anything damaging to the underlying pixels here. We just threw away the instruction set of what we wanted to happen to the pixels. So in summary, a layer is an instruction set of what you want performed to the underlying pixels, the background image. You can have multiple layers and they're all their own little subset of instructions. You get them by clicking right here on this half-filled circle and bringing up an adjustment layer or fill level this way. You can bring up a layer by clicking on create a new layer, and you've got an empty layer that you can do things on. You get rid of them by clicking on them and dragging them down to the trash can. And you want to use them because it's non-permanent editing. You can always go back at a future date and change the adjustment or remove the adjustment entirely with no ill effects on your underlying background image.